So now what we're going to do is we're going to run dynamic analysis of a keylogger in 221. So the first thing you have to do is download and unzip this zipped file with 7-zip with the password malware. And I've done that already on this box. So it should be, let me close some of these windows. Don't save. I want to get to a Windows Explorer window, which I think Microsoft has changed the name of, just to make us all insane. There we are, downloaded, and there it is, key.exe. And I'm going to get rid of this. I don't need it anymore. That's left over from when I tested it earlier. All right, so there's this program called key.exe, which I got by unzipping key.7zip, and we're going to analyze it. So first we'll try PEView. PEView. And open key.exe from my downloads folder. There it is. All right. So you see here it is, the usual thing, an executable file with various sections. And the thing we want to look at here is the import address table. So we go to this one, our data, and in here is the import address table. So you can see all the Windows library functions it uses. It's loading advanced API and messing with the registry set value, and then it's doing something about open a console window and stuff like that, get process address and all this stuff from kernel32.dil, and then it has user32, it get async key state, which is actually how the keylogger works. It is using the user library to read whether the keys are up or down, which is how the keylogger is working in this case. So you can see what libraries and what functions it uses here, which is handy. And then, of course, like I said, you can use bin text. Let me just close this to keep things clean. You can look at the strings. So bin text is the handy strings analysis tool on Windows. So I open that thing, which is my downloads folder, key.exe. All right, and go. All right, and so if I look through here, I see the usual stuff, the name of the sections like text and our data, and then random junk that just happens to be 5 or 6 letters long. And there, oh, this is pretty hot. You can tell it's a keylogger. It has these names for the keys, caps lock, up arrow, right arrow. That's a pretty strong indicator that it's a keylogger. It needs to have those strings to record the key presses. And now, notice this, it puts up a funny looking file, C Windows VMX32to64.exe. It looks like it makes a file, again trying to fool you, that looks like a graphics driver or something. And so it looks like this is probably an indicator of compromise. This file it's probably going to create. And here's the persistence mechanism. This is a registry key path, and this is the run key, and anything you put in the run key will automatically launch every time you reboot the machine. So right here I've learned a lot. I've got an indicator of compromise, and I know how persistence is likely going to work, because it's just doing the most likely normal things. If you keep looking down here, here's another name of that, another copy of that file name, and here's some more error strings and stuff. And I think if you go down here, you see a bunch of API calls measuring something about time. And then here's some lower level function calls and dates and a bunch of random junk. And I think I'm going to just look and see if there's my instructions pointed out anything else interesting here. Way down, we're going to find the log near that too. We'll find the name of the file, and we'll find the name of the log it made. I missed it somehow, but you have the name of the file where it's going to put the key presses, log.txt, is in the strings. So it's pretty handy. So now we have a pretty good idea. All right, so now we're going to do dynamic analysis. So let me turn off this thing. This is just static analysis without running the malware. To run dynamic analysis, I'm going to run Process Explorer, Wireshark, and Process Monitor. So I'll just launch them. Process Explorer. Process Explorer 64. We'll see if that works. I think that'll work. Yeah, okay. So this is just showing me the running processes, and I'm going to condense some of this internal system stuff because I really want to see userland. Here's userland down here with my command prompt and stuff. That's what I want to be seeing. And I'm going to turn off things I don't need, like I'm not using this anymore. So I'll close that. All right, and then I'm going to run Wireshark. And This is just going to watch network traffic, although from what I've seen in strings and stuff, I don't think this program has any network traffic. I didn't see any IP addresses or domain names or calls, but I'll just have it sniff on Ethernet. In principle, I could be sniffing here. I need to give it a password. All right, and I think I'm not going to leave it running because it's not going to find anything. There is no network traffic. It's a good policy to run it to see if you have network traffic, but I know there's not any, so I'm just going to get rid of it to make this demonstration simpler. And the other thing I do want is process monitor. Now, process monitor has different versions. Oh, and I don't, whoops, I'm in the wrong, I need to go here in my Windows machine. Okay, process monitor. Okay, because Windows is on ARM, I have to use this one, Procmon64A. The other one won't work. The other programs are running through some kind of like translator. This one, you actually have to drive the right version. When you download it, you'll get 3 versions. One for 32-bit Windows, one for 64-bit Windows, and this one for 64-bit Windows on ARM. So you do have to use the right one or it won't work. And so it needs administrator rights, and now you see it's ready to capture, and I can turn on a filter. And like I say, the most professional way to do this would be to start to disable all these. Okay, then say okay. Now it's going to see all these events, and these are all the background events. And then you would remove them one by one, like right-click and exclude this process. And then right-click and exclude this process, and do this like 30 times until you get rid of everything. And see, it's sniffing 88,000, 100,000, 130,000. It's getting 10,000 events per second here. Go until you're getting a lot of events, but you don't see any of them because you ignore all the innocent events. Then when you run the malware, it'll get everything new. That's the cool professional technique, but that's too much bother. I'm going to stop capturing. I'm going to do it the sleazy way. The name of this thing is key.7zip, key.exe. So the first thing it's going to launch is a process named key. So I'm just going to look for things named key. So I turn on the filter. And I already made this, process contains key. So you do that by choosing, there's a lot of options, but typically process name is the easiest. And I'm just going to process name that contains the word key. That's enough. That's what I made here. So I'm going to activate that filter. And that gets rid of everything not named key. So this will work for this project, but of course, if key was to launch another process with a different name, I wouldn't see it. So this is a less clean technique, but it is going to work in this case. And now I run the malware, and I have to run it as administrator. So I go in here, and let me kill some of these extra windows I don't need. A process monitor. I have a second copy of Process Explorer. I don't need that, okay. And I don't need dependency walker. There. All I want to do is run the malware, which is here. So now I right-click and run as administrator. Oh, I bet I can start sniffing. Whoops. I think I stopped sniffing in Process Explorer. It is, see, this number is not going up in the corner. So I've got to hit this button to start capturing. There. Now in the corner, 461,000 number is going up. Now it's sniffing. Now I run the malware, which is here. And you can see here, you see Process Explorer. Keep an eye on these little things over here while I run it. You'll see it run. I run as administrator. And I say yes. And so over here, it's going to launch and turn green when it comes on. So there it is. It's now running this keylogger here. And here's what I've captured. A whole bunch of events happened. Now I'm going to stop sniffing, which is the third button. And over here, I have a summary of everything it did. Now, right now I have it only showing the registry events. Here's the file events. Here's, I think, network activity. Here's process and thread activity. So this is showing me everything. And so I'll see it created a file, read a file, then it does registry open key, and here's the registry key, and it just does a lot of things. Creates another file, and open a key and create another file. It just does a lot of things here. You can trace it all here. but it can get pretty confusing. We're going to use this tool a lot, and you're going to get some practice learning how to use it to find interesting stuff. But anyway, here we're going to do some simple things. So once you've done that, we have one key just from Process Explorer here. You'll see the running process. That's one flag. And then we can view the running malware here. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the event that turned on the persistence. This is what wrote something to the run key. It wrote VMX32 to 64 to the run key. That's what's going to constantly make it relaunch every time we restart the machine. So we can find that. Now, I can find it by scrolling through here, but it's kind of painful. What you do is get rid of everything except registry events. So turn off all of this. But even with that turned off, there's still a few hundred of them. And then you have to scroll through looking for that path. Now, I think there is a search engine. So I could look for that VMX32 to 64 and find it. And that worked. Boy, that was handy. So there it is. That's the thing that did. You could also scroll through it, but even this tool, which makes the event log a lot simpler, the event log is still kind of overwhelming. Just by the way, raw packets in Wireshark also tend to be overwhelming. Thousands of packets to do something, and you have to get used to it. But anyway, that's the event that made it persistent by setting a run key to automatically relaunch this malware. And we can do a little more. We can run the malware, and the way to do it, it's already running, so all we need to do is type something. So I'll just open Notepad, all right, and type some stuff, like hello from CCSF. So I typed something, and now if I go to the folder where the malware is in, the downloads folder, it has created this file called log.txt. And if I double-click that to open it, there it is, showing you hello from CCSF. And it's been recording all the other key presses as I press Control and other keys. So that's what it's doing. It's constantly logging the key presses in that log file. All right. And so I think that's about it. You can find the persistence mechanism. You can kill the running process here, so it'll stop sniffing now. But then when you restart the machine, it will relaunch automatically. So you can find the persistence here. You can, you'll be able to see this. You'll be able to find a flag here looking at the keys that are connected to it. It'll show you some information about the registry keys associated with this file, VMX32 to 64, that it created. You can remove the persistence by going into regedit and finding the run key and deleting it. Then it will stop relaunching every time you restart your machine. And there is network traffic generated by this. So I should have been running Wireshark. I think it wasn't me. You will find there is network traffic and there's a flag in there.
Network traffic because it's sending the log.txt.
Yeah, it could. I think this one, I just added it. So it's fake network traffic. That's right. So you'll find a flag there and so on. So there's various things to find here. You can practice analyzing a live thing. That's what I wanted to show you. And now your machine is infected. You're going to have to clean it off by doing these steps, or it's going to keep relaunching that keylogger. And this is why I say you got to use a virtual machine. This stuff is not as nasty as real malware, but you don't want it on your real machine because it does things like that. And if you do all the steps, you will end up cleaning it off. But if you skip steps or make mistakes, it'll keep on recording your key presses. So you don't want that on a real machine where you're doing banking and emails and stuff.
So basically, once we are done with this project,
Yeah.
we hit the time machine and we go back to the original setup.
That would be the most professional thing to do. You could also just remove the file and the registry key, and that would be all right. Yeah.
I have a question in this regard because I'm still struggling with some basic questions.
Yeah.
One in particular, I don't know who asked it, so I have to use an analogy.
Here, I think I'm going to stop the recording. We'll just go ahead.